Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Thrylos International, your number one English source for all things Olympiacos. We're back with another update on everything happening at Olympiacos Football Club ahead of a big game on Thursday versus Lyon away from home. It's the first game of the Europa League. Marshall is joining me from France. We're going to talk a little bit about the Lyon game towards the end. We're going to focus more on team news and some of the transfer rumours that have been going around the club. And we can dive into that almost immediately. Just before that, remember, guys, as usual, don't forget to like and subscribe. We've also got massive news for the podcast. This podcast has been nominated for an award by Football Content Awards in the category Best International Podcast. It's an achievement that we hadn't even dreamed of achieving. It means so much to us, and it would not have been possible without you, the fans. The voting began yesterday and it will close on 13th of October. So this is your chance to help show the world that Olympiacos is truly a global club, a global fan base, and a fan base made up of the best fans in the world. So please show your love by voting. It's really quick, simple. The link to the voting platform is in the description below and will take you no longer than 30 seconds. It would mean the world to us if you would vote for Thrylos 7 International. Thank you so very much to all of you. And with that, let's dive into the team news. So going into the game on Thursday, we've known Panos Retsos has been injured since the beginning of the season. Yorgos Masouras got injured during international break, playing with Greece. And Panos Retsos and Yorgos Masouras both back in training this week. Not clear, however, whether that's actually been with the rest of the squad. We were informed yesterday via Nikos Kotsis that both Masouras and Retsos turned up to ready yesterday during what was an off day for the team. So the team had a day off from Mendilibar, but Retsos and Masouras were both at the training ground. I believe Castilla was also there, and Thanasis Bakoulas also reported to be at Eddy yesterday training on an off day. So that raises a lot of question marks ahead of Thursday's game, including not forgetting the fact that Gelson Martins picked up a knock during the game on Saturday against Aris, the defeat against Aris 2-1 away from home at Harilao. So that means we're going into the game with one fit winger. So that's Christopher Velde is our only fit winger. We've got Yorgos Masouras coming back from injury, Willian not even 50% fit. And what options are we looking at now on the wing? Rodine and Castilla, as was at the end of the Aris game. Marshall, what does this mean going into the game on Thursday?
Well, I think it means one thing first, it's that we won't have a lot of solutions on the bench because when the last season ended, we probably had the better bench since probably the Martins era, because you could have on the bench, we could have like Jovetic. Well, El Arabi was kind of nearing the end, but it was still useful over 20 minutes probably. You had Masouras, you had even Sotiris Alexandropoulos, you had Richards, you had like players that could be useful, including in Europe. And that will be the main question mark for me about this game in Lyon, because I do see Mendilibar picking the Costinha Rodinez option, unfortunately over Papakanellos for me. And it means that on the bench we will be quite short, with probably only Masouras being able to come in or I don't know the word yet, Papakanellos, even if I'm not expecting him to even play like a quarter of an hour. But yeah, the main answer is like we are lacking solutions. I think a lot of people were waiting for that to say, hey, we told you in the summer we didn't sign enough player, we were lacking some depth and stuff. But you can't bet on injuries like that to be justified over an opinion. That's my view on this.
there was a lot of discussion after the Aris game, or at least between Labro and I, on the fact that the youth league winners, the 5 lads, haven't been in a matchday squad for 2 games now. So there was nobody in the Papakanellos matchday squad. There was no one in the Aris squad. We talked about some of the, reasons why that might be. But really, going into this game, I do expect the boys from the youth league winning team to be in the squads. As part of the B list, they will get to travel. Whether or not they're actually going to be on the bench for the game on Thursday remains to be seen. But honestly, I think this is a perfect opportunity to launch a player like Papakanellos. This is the way that Olympiacos youngsters are often thrown in. This is how they're launched. It's because of injuries and things that happen during a season. And again, like, we're short. We don't have anyone fit. And one thing I want to stress is that last season, Mendilibar showed to us that he's a manager that doesn't like to experiment with players out of position. You take the left-back role last season. Ortega's injured. Omar Richards is out. Play Apostolopoulos came out of nowhere. He didn't think, I'm going to play Kinney or I'm going to try Rodinei at left-back. That's what he had. That was what was orthological. That's what he did. So again, I'm not sure if Papakanellos gets a starting role on Thursday, but I expect him to play a role, even if that's as a sub coming off the bench. And we can already talk about this, but Lyon's defense has been very shaky. It's on the slow side. And you look at this player, Papakanellos, he's dynamic, he's fast, he's athletic. Yes, maybe he's lacking a bit of muscle in his body, but really, as somebody to bring on in even the last 25, 30 minutes of the game, I'd expect him to create dangerous situations down the wing and cause trouble. Costinha Rodinei might seem like a safe option, but again, this manager, he hasn't given me that. He hasn't given that off to me last season, that he's a conservative manager. He's a manager that wants to go for the throat, like go for the kill. He wants to press the team. Can you do that with Costinha and Rodinei? It is on the conservative side. Any way you look at it. But will he have the huge cojones to start Papakanellos in a game like this? I don't know. We all saw how fans reacted to Kostoulas in the first half of the game, first game of the season away to Volos, where he started off well in the first 5-10 minutes. Then he had some heavy touches. We have to all think about this very carefully. Broadly, I'm talking now about the youngsters, because for me, it will be a massive crime if we throw away this opportunity that's been presented to us. It's not every day that Olympiacos wins a youth league UEFA tournament, and it might never happen again. And you look at some of the other teams that we beat, Nantes, Bayern Munich, Milan in the final. Players from those youth league teams are integrated into those teams. More so in Nantes, I know for sure, and Milan. We need to get on board with this. Sorry, I've said a lot. I know that you have lots of thoughts on this topic as well.
I totally agree with you, and I will say that if I have to choose one ending on that, I would most likely choose to waste our talents, like to play Papakanellos 30 games. If he ends up being shit 80% of the time, then I will have seen him playing 30 games with Olympiacos. I would rather pick that deception over the fact that we have to wait a perfect context that will most likely never come in this club to actually launch him, because it does not happen. If I know Papakanellos and stuff are not the equivalent of Yamal, for example, but Yamal was launched because Barcelona basically couldn't even register signings. Like the club was almost going bankrupt, and they had to play Kubarsi, they had to play Yamal. Those players would have they play during the prime era of Barcelona? No, because you had to be better than Xavi, than Iniesta, than Messi, than even better than Boyan to play in this club at that time. But look at the team of Olympiacos now. If you're not playing Papakanellos at least half an hour, 10 minutes, 15 minutes in Lyon, if you have only one winger left, you're already killing him. It's not up to debate for me, because the mental part of a youngster is made of confidence. Those players, they already have that confidence. They don't need to settle in Olympiacos. They have been made by Olympiacos. They know the Greek reality. They know this club. They love this club. They actually signed their first pro contract with this club like very easily, even after winning the Youth League. They have nothing to prove to me. Like Papakanellos is 19. And 19 players right now be the equivalent of Fazidis at 55 years old a decade ago. You know what I mean? Look, Ninis, when he came to Panathinaikos, if Ninis came today to Panathinaikos, he would be sold for like 15 millions with what he did at that time. Yeah. But when he popped at Panathinaikos, the whole country wasn't ready for that. I don't think Greece is still ready for that, but at some point we will have to play Papakanellos and Bakoulas and Moussakitis and stuff.
I mean, that's briefly a discussion again that we sort of touched on the live show on the weekend, and really it's a shame to me that Bakoulas and Moussakitis haven't had chances. I understand the manager wants to bed in players like Dani Garcia and Sergio Oliveira, Stamenic, even like those three players. But then if I look at who we used during pre-season, who's in rhythm, who played at the Maracanã a month ago, like Bakoulas and Moussakitis are ready, 100% fit. They've done pre-season with the team. The team looked pretty good during pre-season. It's a shame. And I think it was the wrong decision to play Dani Garcia on the weekend against a mobile midfield, to play a player like that who's not really known for his speed. It's a shame. And I wonder if we will see those kinds of changes in the midfield tomorrow as well.
No, but the most interesting thing you just said is that I think the team during the preseason with youngsters had a better shape, especially in the midfield, than the one we've seen starting the league. And I'm worried, frustrating, and even a little bit pissed off toward Mendilibar if he doesn't realize that. Because as you said at the beginning of the show, the thing I love the most with Mendilibar is the way he sees football. Like, it's simple, if I can say that, and it's not a critic, but he say a left back has to play as a left back.
Yeah,
a midfielder needs to play in the midfield. So given what he did during the preseason, I was expecting him to play Bakoulas or Moussakitis if he sees that they could offer more balance to the team, which was the case. So it makes you wonder why he decided to change that, why he decided to play Garcia that is not 100% ready to me. Yeah. And I have too many questions, but no answers.
Anyway, it's very early on in the season. We're going to need, there's already lots of talk about the squad being too small, and actually that's a good segment into the next, good transition into the next segment, which is transfer rumors. So the transfer rumors discussion is back. The squad was supposed to be complete. We weren't looking to sign other players. We even registered a squad to UEFA with one place free. So now all of a sudden we're looking to add somebody before the end of the month. We are able to sign free agents. Free agent will not be able to play in European games until February because the league phase goes on until the end of January. But there are three names, or two in particular, that have come to the fore. One is a name we're familiar with, that's Yusuf Yazici. that we talked about before the transfer window closed at the end of August. Marshall, we talked about Yazici before, and the other name is Adam Unas. He's a player that played for Napoli, I remember, and was at Lyon last season. I looked at some of his stats. 24 appearances last year for Lille, 2 goals or 2 assists, I can't remember. He looks like a player that's been a bit of a journeyman, hasn't really bedded down anywhere. But what do you think about this this renewed discussion around the possibility of signing a free agent?
I think it became obvious to everyone that the club, knowing how Olympiacos operates, would sign someone after the loss in Saloniki. So unfortunately for me, because I don't think we need to sign someone else, I can expect the club to sign someone. And if I had to choose, by the way, someone we should sign, it would be Conan, the Ivorian left back that was in Saudi Arabia, which is probably the best free agent option compared to what we actually need in this team. Having said that, Yazici is still a quality player to me. I won't change my opinion on Yazici. He's a tremendous player for this club. He had a very solid and full season last season in Lille. I don't know why he hasn't found the club yet. Maybe he was asking for too much money. Maybe he did not get the offer he was waiting for. I don't have the answer on that. I don't know why he's still a free agent, but quality-wise, is the best solution we could find in order to solve a creativity issue. But I don't think this team need more player. We need to find solutions with what we actually have. Otherwise, Yazici should have been signed over Willian, for example. And on Unas, I don't think it's what we need at all. Like, not at all, because the bet on this player is too big to take it now. It's not even De La Fuente, for example, had shown some interesting things in Marseille, and I was thinking, okay, maybe with a loan, with more playing time, it could do something in Olympiacos. But Unas I don't find him very professional outside the pitch. I don't really like his playing style because he looked like a very selfish player, like worse than Velde. He has magical technical ability that could come close to what Potense is, but he hasn't been able to use that over his whole career. Like, tactically, he's lacking too many things, playing on his own, and it would be a very bad signing, in my opinion. Like, it would be signing someone just to say, okay, we are going to sign someone.
I mean, from what I've heard around Adam Unas, it seems like it would also be, okay, you mentioned that the guy has perhaps an unprofessional attitude, hasn't been able to show that technical ability at the highest level. He's been changing clubs very often. It's a huge gamble, but also it feels like it would be a nail in the coffin for a player like Papakanellos, at least this season. And for all the talk about integrating youth and making sure that the success of the youth league is, integrating properly into the first team, you go and sign a player like Unas, then you've got another option on the wing. Yeah. But then Papakanellos probably not going to have many opportunities, if any, this season. Yazici to me seems like the one player that can make a difference. But he seems like a player that can give you that something unpredictable that we've been missing.
No, Yazici is a very, very good signing. Is the equivalent in terms of level to what is Tete, for example, to what will be, in my opinion, Unai for Panathinaikos. We're talking about players that were playing actually football in League One or in good leagues. Yeah. So are those players good enough? Yes, 100%.
Yes. He gives me some Turkish Fortunis vibes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, but closer to what Fortunis was when he left last season than from the Fortunis at the beginning of Martins. You know, that Fortunis that was called lazy, Fortunis not defending, Fortunis not being there on big games and stuff. It's the closest version we could find to the mature Fortunis, in my opinion.
Is he a type of player that likes to play in the hole, like in a free role behind the striker, or is he also able to kind of come in off the left? And where would you see him fitting in if he were to sign?
Well, I would say it would fit in the actual position of Chiquinho. Like, he's playing too high for me on the pitch, but also the fact that he's left-footed would offer something that we're probably lacking,
Balance.
which is going from the right side to the center and fucking try to shoot outside of the box. Because I advise people that watches this video to actually watch the games of AEK, of Papakanellos or PAOK against smaller teams. We have produced the same exact football than they all did against those teams. But what's the difference? You have Juricic that is trying to shoot from outside the area.
Yeah.
We have the players that have this quality. You have better set pieces, and that's it. That's the two things they have.
It's interesting. Adonis Karpetopoulos, a Greek journalist, he likened the football that we played against Aris to a water polo team, in that we were circulating the ball from one side to another and trying to break open the defense by just swinging the ball from left to right and vice versa. And you're right, like when you've got a player like Yazici, you can imagine the ball's moving from left to right. And if you're right-footed, your inclination is to just continue circulating the ball to the right if you can't find the player that's, directly through, like to play a through pass, which is difficult against those closed defenses. So if you've got a left-footed player like Yazici who can take the ball from the left and instead of switching it, continuing to switch it out to the right, he can go back inside and take a shot. That's something that we're distinctly lacking now.
The fact that you speak about this reminds me of the player that I was so pissed we missed on, which was Florian Thauvin, because it would have been the solution to so many problems. And look at the season he's having is in Udinese.
Is he? Oh, is he back in Europe now? Because he went to Mexico, didn't he?
No, but when he was in Mexico, we were linked with him at some point.
Right.
And he ended up signing in Udinese, and he has a quite average ending of a season because I think he was due to adapt himself back to Europe.
Yeah.
But no, he has been called to the I don't know the word in English. Like he has a pre-call to the front. Yeah.
Wow.
Because he has a very good start of the season and is the kind of player I would want to see Olympiacos signing, because he would solve so many solutions. And the biggest thing we are missing from Fortunis are shots from outside the area. And Yazici in Lille has scored goals like that. He's not a winger like Zegrova, for example, who loves so much to do the Robben play with the left foot. But Yazici, as much as I don't want the club to sign someone, Yazici remains a very good option to me. The only issue will be
kind of Turkish player. Yeah.
Sorry?
He looks like a very elegant player.
Yeah, true. The only issue I see with Yazici, to be honest, is the fact that he's Turkish. And I'm thinking that it's going to be an issue at some point. Otherwise, apart of that, I don't see no reason at all not to sign him.
Yeah.
If it would be too admiring that we kind of fucked the summer transfer, but that's how Olympiacos works anyway.
No, but honestly, I think it's a player that would come in to a position where we're clearly lacking. Yeah. We don't have a player that fits that role at the number 10.
No, I agree.
The one you mentioned earlier, Conan, I don't know the player very well. I trust your opinion. You know, like French football all your life. But that would raise some real questions for me in like, for example, okay, did we just realize that we need a left back now? That's the question I'd ask myself. But anyway, enough of transfer news.
No, I just want to say last one thing. If that's maybe something that I can't prove by facts, but if we sign Yazici, that might be the best way to get the better version of Papakanellos. Because I do expect Papakanellos, if he actually gets playing time, to be better with a better number 10.
Okay.
That would be Yazici compared to what is Chiquinho right now.
Somebody that can really pull the strings.
Yeah.
In midfield.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Compared to Unas.
Good point. Okay. Well, before we wrap up, again, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. Help us to continue to grow the red and white community. We find more and more Olympiacos fans every day. The channel is on the road to 6,000 subscribers. The community continues to grow. Hit the bell to receive notifications whenever new content is posted. There is a dedicated Olympiacos versus Lyon preview episode coming tomorrow with special guests from Get French Football News. They have a huge Twitter page. They have close to 300,000 followers on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it. So hit the bell. Make sure you get a notification whenever that goes live tomorrow, and more content coming to Thrylos International moving forward. Some thoughts from you, Marshall, about the Lyon game before we wrap up?
Yeah. I questioned myself on that before doing that video because I wanted to have the clearest view on that. And I think that this game against Lyon, if I had to compare it to the game we played against French team, would be similar to the one against Marseille in Champions League. The reason is the psychological part of that game. When we played against Marseille and we won that game with the Hassan header, Marseille has lost the last 6 games of the Europa Champions League campaign. Like, they were coming to Greece with something in their head, which was, we have no right to lose this game. If we lose this game, we're going to be embarrassed for at least a decade almost. And they played with the fear of losing this game. And when Benedetto missed that situation around halftime, we lost that game right now because the psychological part was too heavy for Marseille, despite the quality they had on the squad. And Lyon is in a similar situation. They have I insist on that. They have tremendous players. They have Lacazette, they have Bikotadze, they have Nemanja Matic in the midfield to be the closest version to Ibora. They have individual quality players everywhere, but they have a coach that is very inexperienced. He was an international solution last season. He saved them from relegation by winning games almost by miracles every time. They have a club overall that is struggling financially with multi-ownership, with too many things happening outside of the pitch. They don't have good results. Everyone is expecting them to have a bad season, and they won't have part of their fans for this game. So the global context psychologically has to be an advantage for Olympiacos, even if we do have problems at the beginning of the season. And I won't compare this game to the one in Nantes, because Nantes had less quality at the time, but they won the French Cup the year before. So we basically played a team that knew each other. You know, they had the confidence boost from winning the cup, and that's why we lost twice. They ended up qualifying from the group because they had won the trophy the year before, and they built up confidence. That's why we lost against Nantes, despite having less quality in Nantes than in Lyon. So we will have situations. I can assure that we will have situations in Lyon, and we fucking need to take advantage of that. Because I've watched the Lyon games against Marseille. It's impossible for me not to score at least one goal there. Question mark will be, are we able not to hit one or more than one? That's the real question.
I mean, you look at some of their attacking players and you think there are some scary players up front. But without revealing too much, like I said earlier, there is an episode coming out tomorrow, a dedicated episode previewing Lyon with another French football expert. I think Martial's already given us a nice taste and some stuff that hasn't been said on the other dedicated preview. So we're going to wrap it up there. Again, last call for you to like and subscribe. And don't forget, guys, before you go, check out the description below. There is a link to the voting platform for the Football Content Awards. We'd really appreciate your vote in the Best Podcast International category. Voting will take you no longer than 30 seconds. It would mean the world to us. Thank you once more for tuning in to Thrylos International, your number one English source for all things Olympiacos. By the fans, for the fans. We'll see you again next time.